Have you ever realized that the deepest truths of life often only truly reveal themselves after you've lived more than 70 years? When we're young, we're busy rushing forward, building careers, caring for families, chasing dreams. But it's not until age slows us down, until the noise of life softens, that we finally begin to hear the quiet lessons whispering within us. Simple truths, yet so profound that we once never paused long enough to truly feel. Today on Advice for Seniors, we'll journey together through 6 profound life lessons. Lessons most people only truly grasp after turning 70. These aren't things you can learn from books or lectures. They are insights shaped by time, by love, by loss, and by change. Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Advice for Seniors and turn on the notification bell so you can continue walking with us on this inspiring journey through later life. Now let's begin. Lesson 1. True happiness comes from the simplest things. When we're young, we often believe happiness comes only after achieving major milestones, buying the dream house, climbing the career ladder, or going on extravagant vacations. We throw ourselves into endless races, convinced that once we reach these goals, happiness will follow. But after 70, many people slowly realize the deepest happiness doesn't lie in grand achievements. It resides in the simplest, most ordinary moments. I remember sitting down with Mr. Henry, a 78-year-old man living in a peaceful suburban neighborhood. He had once been a busy businessman, owning several large houses and traveling extensively for work. But when I asked him what made him happiest at this stage of life, he smiled and said, "It's not the money, it's not the achievements. My happiness now is simply making a cup of hot coffee for myself each morning, sitting on the porch, and watching the little sparrows chirping in the garden. And every now and then, getting a surprise call from my busy grandson, just to hear him say, 'Grandpa, I miss you.'" His answer left me silent. We spend much of our lives chasing grand dreams, only to discover eventually that the real treasure has always been in the small, warm, ordinary things. A simple home-cooked meal, a quiet afternoon, a heartfelt message from a loved one. Each of these is a priceless gift that time offers, if only we are slow enough to see and cherish them. Happiness, it turns out, was never far away. It was always right here, waiting patiently in the everyday moments we once rushed past. Lesson 2. Health is the greatest wealth. When we're young, health feels like a given. We stay up late, skip meals, overwork ourselves, always believing our bodies will bounce back. But after 70, many people come to a stark realization. Without health, everything else, money, fame, even dream vacations, becomes meaningless. I once met Mrs. Ellen, a 75-year-old retired music teacher. In her younger years, she poured all her passion into her work, often skipping meals and neglecting her own well-being for the sake of her students. She had a decent savings account and big dreams of traveling across Europe after retirement. But just a few years past 65, she was diagnosed with severe arthritis and diabetes. The dream of carefree travel was shelved. Her days revolved instead around doctor appointments, medications, and chronic pain. She shared her story with me, her eyes reflecting deep regret. "If only I had saved some of that youthful passion to take care of my own health. Money can't buy back those lost years." Her story stands as a quiet yet powerful reminder. Health is not a treasure we can reclaim after it's lost. It's something that must be protected every day through small, conscious habits. Eating nourishing foods, moving our bodies gently, going for regular checkups, and listening carefully to our needs. Because in the end, health is the greatest gift, and it's a gift only we can safeguard through daily gratitude and mindful care. Through daily gratitude and mindful care. Lesson 3. Learning to let go. The secret to inner peace. When we are young, we often hold tightly to so many expectations. We want our children to achieve great success. We want our spouse to understand us completely. We want everything to go exactly according to plan. And every time those expectations aren't met, we easily fall into disappointment, frustration, or even resentment. But after 70, many people come to a profound realization. Letting go of expectations doesn't mean letting go of love. It means accepting that everyone has their own path to walk. Mr. David, a 78-year-old man I once spoke with, had 3 children. Each of them chose a very different life than he had envisioned. One gave up a stable career to travel the world. One chose not to marry, contrary to David's wishes. One moved far away and rarely had the chance to visit. At first, David was deeply saddened. He felt as though he had failed as a father. But one day, while sitting alone in a quiet park, he asked himself, "Do I love them for who they are, or only if they live the way I want them to?" That single question changed everything. He began to let go of his expectations, quietly choosing to support and trust his children instead of judging them. And something beautiful happened. Without the burden of pressure, his relationships with his children grew lighter, closer, and more joyful than ever before. Letting go doesn't mean losing. It frees the heart from the invisible chains of disappointment and resentment. Letting go is one of the greatest gifts we can offer others and ourselves. Lesson 4. Money is just a tool, not a measure of your worth. When we are young, we pour endless time and effort into earning money. We believe that having more money will make life easier, earn more respect, and bring lasting happiness. But after 70, many realize a deeper truth. Money is simply a tool to serve life, not a measure of a person's true worth. I once met Mr. Benjamin, an 82-year-old former successful businessman. He owned 3 homes, 2 luxury cars, and a savings account that many would envy. But one afternoon, sitting on an old wooden chair in his backyard, he shared with me, "There comes a time when you realize no one sits by your hospital bed to ask how much money you have in the bank. They remember the times you listened. They remember the simple meals you shared, the warm hugs, the kind words." His voice softened, his eyes filled with wisdom. If you have wealth but no one to share the small joys with, then money is nothing more than cold numbers. That conversation stayed with me for a long time. After 70, people come to understand money can buy medication, shelter, and good meals, but it cannot buy back lost time, sweet memories, or the deep peace within your heart. Money is important, but it should be used to care for yourself and nurture relationships, not to measure your worth or to compare yourself to others. True happiness is not counted in dollars. It is measured in warm moments shared with those you love. Lesson 5. Caring for your mental health is just as important as physical health. Throughout our lives, we're taught to take care of our physical health. Eat well, exercise, take medication on time. But it's often not until we pass 70 that many truly realize mental health is just as important, and sometimes even more vital. I remember Eleanor, a 79-year-old woman living alone after her husband passed away. She ate balanced meals, went for regular checkups, and attended yoga classes 3 times a week. Yet inside, she still felt an aching emptiness. One day she told me, "People care for their bodies but forget to care for their hearts. Doctors can prescribe medicine for illnesses, but no one can prescribe a cure for loneliness or sadness." So she decided to write her own prescription. Calling an old friend every day, journaling her most beautiful life memories, joining a neighborhood book club. From these small steps, Eleanor slowly rediscovered her joy. Her eyes grew brighter, her steps lighter. Mental health doesn't thrive on its own. It needs tending every day, like a garden. A kind conversation, a favorite song, a painting done simply for fun, a heart that forgives others and forgives itself. When the soul is nourished, the body follows. When love fills your heart, every day glows a little brighter. Lesson 6. Forgiving the past to walk freely forward. In our 20s or 30s, it's easy to hold on to resentment and old wounds. But after 70, many come to understand there is no greater gift than learning to forgive, both others and ourselves. I once heard Walter, 81 years old, share during a gathering, "I spent 20 years angry at my brother over a land dispute. We didn't speak for 2 decades. When I got news that he was gravely ill, I realized all that anger, all those rights and wrongs, in the end, only left a cold emptiness in my heart." Walter went to the hospital, took his brother's hand, and simply said, "Let's not be angry anymore." They embraced and wept, like the young boys they once were. Walter shared that in that moment, it felt like a heavy boulder was lifted from his chest. The sky seemed bluer. Breathing became easier. His heart felt warm again. Forgiveness is not about whether the other person deserves it. It's about knowing you deserve peace. Forgive those who have hurt you. Forgive the mistakes you've made. Forgive the imperfections of life itself. Because ultimately, inner peace is the most precious treasure. Holding on to resentment only hurts one person the most: yourself. There are lessons in life that only time can teach. Only after walking a long road, after living many seasons, do we truly absorb these lessons. After 70, each day is no longer a frantic race. It becomes a slower, deeper, more meaningful journey. Lessons like cherishing health, loving simply, forgiving the past, keeping curiosity alive, and nurturing compassion. They don't just make the final chapters of life beautiful, they help us live each moment with a lighter, more peaceful heart. If you are in your 60s, 70s, or beyond, please remember, it's never too late to learn something new, to love again, or to find joy in ordinary moments. Thank you for being here and listening today. If these reflections touched your heart, please consider subscribing to Advice for Seniors, so we can continue to walk alongside you on this meaningful journey.